Hello, and to those who will find this transmission, I am Reflections of My Evolution, and I am here for help. Once again, I'm back. This is one motherload of a download. I've been working on translating this energy into words for a few weeks now. My downloads are all uncommon perspectives and perceptions that pull away from the three-dimensional normal world, or what's known as a 3D. In order to evolve away from your simulated human conditioning, in order to win at this game, you must learn to pull away from the rest of the world. The 3D world is not what it looks like through your eyes. It's all an illusion casted by your unconscious programming. Soon enough, you will all learn the skills to look through the veil and see through the 3D filter that is strategically placed over everything that you see around you. In the 3D, love looks like you and someone else are having a connection, and you think the person you have chosen to be with is separate from you, right? That's not the case, but I can understand why most of you see it this way. My desire for each and every one of you is for you to experience healthy love, because love should never hurt. Love should never make you feel scared. And if you feel any of these things, this means you have an unconscious story about love that is not favorable. There is a good chance your unconscious belief system created some painful moments for you, and this is why your mind created an unfavorable story about love. You will all reach a level of self awareness where you can begin to detect your own patterns before an unpleasant outcome manifests. I am being guided to ask you guys some questions. Do you notice that all of the connections you have had with other love interests in your simulation follow a common outcome? It doesn't matter whether the connection ever became physical or it was simply stayed energetic and emotional. What can you think about that has always unfolded when you felt emotions of love for another character in your simulation? Most don't realize this or take time to sit this out and process what occurs in connections. Instead, most of you are too emotionally hurt and focused more on how shitty love turns out for you. Everything that you are aware of and know about has been learned and conditioned from somewhere. And the only place that can come from is all of the older versions of the self you have been. Another way to sum this up is you have only had your unconscious conditioning that is always surrounding you, that which is your 3D. You will all eventually figure this out, how important it is to keep careful track of what you feed your mind and focus on, because the 3D will recondition you if you are not paying close attention. I am being reminded all the time when I receive my downloads to continue to be repetitive, but do it strategically with the purpose to reinforce a better pattern for those who find me. Don't be afraid to be alone. Becoming comfortable with accepting and finding your own company comfortable is needed to experience a good love. This is something that must be conquered first with comfort. I do realize doing something as simple as chilling with yourself without other people, only you and your mind, and most important, your thoughts. I know this can be hard for some of you that still think of love in the three-dimensional way. I will explain the three-dimensional way of love coming up. My homies that I communicate with want me to be involved in this one. So here it goes. Let me tell you a little of who I have been in the past. Let me show you what my older versions of me were like. I couldn't ever, even for a minute, think of myself as being single and without someone to keep me company in any way possible. It frightened me to be alone, and I avoided it for many years. And I would jump from one connection to another, even if it was toxic and painful, because I couldn't handle being in a state of aloneness, or what most of you would call being single. You guys might be probably wondering what I mean by the 3D kind of love, right? If you are still very attached to viewing love the three-dimensional way, you will think like this: I need to be in a connection because if I'm not, I feel lonely and unloved. I need someone to make me happy, to validate me at all times, to show me I'm lovable in order for me to feel like a good person. What this says about you is that you are relying 100% on another for your happiness. Please remember this because this will save you a lot of pain and disappointment. Happiness is an inside job. Love is a human thing, and that's why it's part of the simulation. This is a human experience, and it involves having a choice of sharing this human experience with another person, which would be the 3D way of looking at things. But what is truly happening is that you are choosing to interact on a much deeper level with a character that is part of your simulation. This character will always be reflecting different parts of you, so always pay close attention. No matter who you choose or the type you continue to choose is telling of where you are at yourself. Your awareness, your consciousness, your conditioning will determine the type of person you continue to be attracted to or even chase after. Let me refresh your memory. You are the God of your simulation, and you are in a human body having an interactive, highly advanced virtual experience. You are here to have the human experience, and love is one of those experiences. What needs to be made clear here is to never point the finger at anyone for how they are showing up for you, because it's not the person's reflection that is at fault, it's yours. There is no need to blame another because that won't get you anywhere. It will only continue to perpetuate any unpleasant behaviors this person may be acting out for you. In the three-dimensional world, love is also seen and assumed as being separate. Whether this sharing is something you do for a long time with another counterpart or several counterparts in short various moments, this part will be your choice. You are in a human body, and touch is one of the senses you will explore with love. And of course, with touch comes pleasure. Love can be a tricky thing at first. Many of you will not know this at first because it even took me many painful and bad experiences to learn about this. I learned about love from my unconscious toxic patterning, from all of the time I spent being unconscious. When I wasn't aware of how this simulation was creating my experiences by using my own mind as its fuel. So, yes, it was a disaster for me at first. My unconscious toxic conditioning shaped my beliefs about this love thing. I even had a very harmful and toxic story about how I viewed love and partnerships that, unbeknownst to me, I was looping unconsciously in my mind on autopilot. Keep in mind that everyone you will ever meet in the physical 3D space is a mirror to you, no matter what version of you you may be at this time. Please allow me to expand further on what this means. You know that person you are with. They are always reflecting you back one way or another. If you ever want to know or receive insight on why your connections have not been successful, observe your partner carefully. They will always show you what you need to adjust, tweak, and even change for the better. Your life partner, your soulmate, or even the one you call your friend, but you decide to physically mess around with, whatever your particular arrangement is, this will all be reflected back to you. You can't point fingers at each other in this love experience. What I just said right now is an important gem for you to hold in your mind. This is why self transformation is so important before you connect with someone you find yourself being attracted to. The more work that you put into yourself, the more you transform and change, the better quality kind of love and partnership you will experience. This is why, for the longest time, I stepped away from hooking up or getting myself out into the so called dating scene, or even answer ads, or even think about putting myself into dating apps. Oh, fuck, that's a scary one. Because I knew back then I was fucked up, and I was coming from a pretty fucked up place full of pain and all kinds of insecurities. It's no wonder I kept being attracted and connecting with characters in my simulation that were only reflecting back to me my wounds and a mindset back then that I really needed to change. You need to begin to be particular, selective, and don't feel bad about this. This is your own personal experience. Don't ever feel bad for wanting the best of everything, even in love. You deserve it, and you should never accept anything less than what you deserve. Have standards in love. Don't just accept anyone who is showing you interest. Make sure this person is reflecting back to you a version of yourself that is healthy, one that you can work with to have a successful connection. To close this one off, everyone is you pushed out, no matter who it is. Everyone in your simulated reality is a reflection of who you once were or are at this moment. And people will reflect bits and parts of you. Some will be good and some will be bad. Make sure to choose a character that mirrors positive changes you have made within yourself, and do not buy into repeating toxic cycles with the people in your simulation who reflect your old conditioning from the past versions of yourself. What you have history with was once familiar is very easy to fall into and repeat again. Keep this in mind every time you connect with someone. Well, it looks like we have reached the end. And once again, it's time for me to say goodbye. My homies always send me downloads and they guide me when to come back. I don't follow the ways of the world, I pull away from it. If you fancy what I speak about, I welcome you to come back and visit me. You now know where you find me now. Thanks to my viewers for your time spent with me, and thanks for being here. See you guys soon. Bye.